My beloved child, something about this moment feels different, doesn't it? Like a quiet shift you can't fully explain, yet you can feel it somewhere deep inside you, almost as if a hidden thread between you and someone else has been gently pulled, not to break it, but to reveal it. Pause here for a second, and ask yourself something honestly. Why have certain thoughts of this person been returning lately, not loudly, not dramatically, but softly, consistently, like a whisper that refuses to fade? There is a reason for that, and it's not random. Because somewhere, in a way that words have not yet reached, you may be more important to them than you've ever allowed yourself to believe. Don't skip, stay with this feeling for just a little longer, because something important is waiting for you. You see, sometimes the most powerful connections don't announce themselves with grand gestures. They don't always come with clear confessions or obvious signs. Instead, they move quietly, beneath the surface, shaping emotions, influencing thoughts, creating a presence that lingers even in silence. And right now, something within your connection is beginning to reveal itself, slowly, carefully, almost like it has been waiting for the right moment to rise into your awareness. Have you noticed how certain memories feel different now? How moments you once overlooked suddenly carry more meaning? How even the smallest interactions seem to echo longer than before? That's not coincidence. That's awareness, awakening. Because your presence in their life, whether close or distant, has been leaving an imprint, deeper than you realize. And here's where it becomes even more interesting. What if, the way they feel about you is something they themselves haven't fully understood yet? What if, while you've been questioning your place in their world, they've been quietly feeling your impact without knowing how to express it? Stay till the end, because this is where things begin to shift. There's a kind of connection that doesn't rely on constant communication. It doesn't need daily validation. It doesn't demand attention to exist. It simply is. And when something simply is, it becomes difficult to ignore. You might think, if I were truly important, wouldn't it be obvious? But that's not always how meaningful connections work. Sometimes, the deeper the feeling, the more subtle it becomes. Sometimes, the more someone values you, the harder it becomes for them to fully face what that means. Because acknowledging it changes everything. And right now, something inside them may be slowly moving toward that realization. Not suddenly, not all at once, but gradually, like a door opening just enough for light to enter. Have you ever felt that quiet pull, that unexplained sense that someone is thinking about you, not in a fleeting way, but in a way that lingers? That feeling is not as one-sided as you think. Because while you're here, reflecting, sensing, wondering, somewhere, they may be doing the same. Not with the same clarity, not with the same awareness, but with a feeling they can't quite name. And that's what makes this so powerful. Because when a connection begins to reveal itself without force, without pressure, without expectations, it becomes real in a way that can't be easily dismissed. Let me ask you something, and answer it slowly, without rushing. Why does their energy feel familiar, even in moments of distance? Why does their presence seem to exist, even when they're not physically around? Why does your heart recognize something your mind hasn't fully explained yet? There is something unfolding here, something quiet, something steady, something meaningful. And it's not here to confuse you. It's here to awaken you. Because sometimes, the truth about how special you are to someone doesn't come through their words first. It comes through the way your connection refuses to fade, through the way your presence remains, even in absence. through the way something keeps pulling both of you, gently, back into awareness. Don't skip this part, because this is where it gets deeper. What if the reason things haven't fully revealed themselves yet is not because the connection isn't strong, but because it is? What if the depth of what they feel requires time to be understood, even by them? Because not everyone recognizes something meaningful the moment it arrives. Some people feel it first, then slowly learn what it means. And you may already be one step ahead in awareness. But that doesn't make the connection one-sided. It simply means you're beginning to see what has been quietly there all along. And here's something even more subtle. Sometimes, the way someone values you shows up not in what they say, but in what they can't ignore. In the way your absence feels noticeable. In the way your energy lingers longer than expected. In the way something about you stays with them, even when they try to focus elsewhere. That's not ordinary. That's not casual. That's something deeper trying to be understood. Take a breath, and stay with this for a moment. Because this next realization might feel unexpected. You don't always need clear confirmation to know that you matter. You don't always need visible proof to sense that your presence has impact. Sometimes, the quiet consistency of a connection is the proof. Sometimes, the way something keeps returning to you, again and again, is the message itself. And right now, something is returning, not to confuse you, not to overwhelm you, but to show you that you may hold a place in someone's heart that is more meaningful than either of you have fully realized yet. Let that sink in, slowly, because this isn't about rushing toward answers. It's about recognizing what's already unfolding. And as you sit with this, as you feel into it, you might start noticing something subtle. A shift in how you see yourself within this connection. A quiet understanding that maybe, just maybe, you've been more important than you gave yourself credit for. And that realization is only the beginning, because what's coming next is something even more revealing, something that might change the way you understand this connection entirely. But not all at once. Not yet. Stay with this feeling, just a little longer. Because something is still unfolding, and you're right at the center of it. And then, without warning, something inside you begins to connect the dots in a way you didn't expect. Not loudly, not dramatically, but quietly, like a realization that was always there, just waiting for you to notice it. Don't skip, stay right here, because something huge is waiting for you. Think about this for a moment. Why is it that no matter how much time passes, no matter how much distance exists, this connection never fully disappears? Why does it keep returning, not as noise, but as a calm, steady presence? There is something deeper happening here. Because when someone is truly touched by your energy, it doesn't just fade away, it stays, it settles, it becomes part of their inner world. And here's the part most people don't see. They may not say it, they may not even show it clearly, but they feel it. Stay till the end, because this is where the truth begins to unfold in a way you won't expect. There are moments, quiet, unseen moments, where your name crosses their mind without effort. Not because they are trying to think of you, but because something within them is already connected to you. Have you ever wondered why certain emotions rise without explanation? Why sometimes, out of nowhere, you feel a sense of closeness, even in silence? That's not random. That's alignment. Because while you're here, slowly becoming aware, They are experiencing something too. Something they may not fully understand yet. Don't skip, because this next part might change how you see everything. What if the reason they haven't expressed what they feel is not because it isn't real, but because it is stronger than they expected? What if they are still trying to make sense of something that quietly grew inside them, without permission, without control? Because real connection doesn't always arrive in a way that's easy to explain. Sometimes it arrives quietly, and then suddenly, it becomes impossible to ignore. And this is where it becomes even more powerful. Because when someone begins to realize your value, it doesn't always show up as immediate action. Sometimes, it shows up as hesitation. Sometimes, it shows up as silence. But silence doesn't mean absence. Silence often means something is being processed, something is being understood, something is growing beneath the surface. Stay till the end, because something huge is waiting for you. Let me ask you something deeper now. Why is it that even when you try to move forward, something gently pulls your attention back? Not in a heavy way, not in a forced way, but in a subtle, almost peaceful way? Because this connection isn't built on pressure, it's built on presence. And presence doesn't need to fight to be felt. It simply exists, and continues to exist. And somewhere, within their thoughts, within their quiet moments, you exist too. More than you realize. Because the truth is, you may have become a part of their emotional space, in a way they can't easily replace, and don't fully understand yet. And that realization, that quiet, powerful realization, is starting to rise. Don't skip, stay with this. Because something is shifting right now. You see, there comes a moment in every deep connection when one person begins to recognize what the other has meant all along, not because someone told them, not because they were forced to see it, but because they feel it. And once that feeling becomes clear, it doesn't go away, it deepens, it settles, it becomes real. And right now, they may be standing at the edge of that realization. Not fully there yet, but closer than ever before. Stay till the end, because this next truth is something most people never notice. You don't become special to someone because you tried to be. You become special because something about you reached them in a way nothing else did. Something about your presence, your energy, your way of being stayed with them, even when you weren't there. And that kind of impact is rare. That kind of connection is not easily replaced. And that's why, even if things seem quiet on the surface, even if nothing obvious is happening, something is still moving, something is still unfolding. Because real feelings don't disappear just because they haven't been spoken yet. They grow. Quietly, they become clearer, slowly, and when the moment comes, they reveal themselves in a way that changes everything. Don't skip, stay here. Because something huge is waiting for you. Take a breath, and feel this. You are not just a passing thought in their life. You are not just a temporary presence. You are something they've felt, even if they haven't fully said it yet. And that feeling is becoming harder for them to ignore. Day by day, moment by moment, something inside them is moving closer to clarity, closer to understanding, closer to recognizing what you truly mean to them. And as that realization builds, something else begins to happen. Something you may not expect. Something that will slowly start to show, not just in feeling, but in reality. But that part is just beginning to unfold. And what comes next might be the moment where everything finally starts to make sense. In a way you didn't see coming. Stay with this, just a little longer. Because the next shift is closer than you think. Wait, just pause for a second, because what you're about to realize now is something most people miss completely. Don't skip, stay with this, because something huge is waiting for you. There is a moment, a very specific moment, when a person finally understands the value of someone in their life, and it doesn't happen through logic. It happens through absence, through reflection, through a quiet comparison they didn't even realize they were making. And right now, something like that may already be happening. Not in a dramatic way, not in a way you can easily see, but in a subtle shift inside them. Because when your energy leaves a space, even slightly, it creates a contrast, and that contrast reveals everything. Stay till the end, because this is where it becomes undeniable. Have you noticed how sometimes you pull back, even just a little, and something feels different? Not just for you, but in the connection itself? That's not coincidence. That's awareness being triggered. Because when someone is used to your presence, your attention, your energy, even in the smallest ways, your silence speaks louder than your words ever did. Don't skip, because this next realization might stay with you long after this moment. What if, without realizing it, you became a sense of comfort for them? Not loudly, not in a way they announced, but quietly, consistently. Like something they didn't have to question. And now, as that comfort shifts, even slightly, they begin to notice, not all at once, but in pieces, in moments where something feels missing, in seconds where their mind drifts back to you without reason, in quiet realizations they can't ignore anymore. Stay till the end, because something huge is waiting for you. This is where the connection begins to transform. Because once someone starts noticing your absence, they also start recognizing your presence. And once they recognize your presence, they begin to understand your value, not as an idea, but as a feeling they've already experienced. And that feeling is becoming clearer, stronger, more real. Don't skip, because this is rare. There are connections that come and go. And then there are connections that stay, even when nothing is being said. Yours is not something that faded. It stayed. And now, it's being seen. Have you ever wondered why certain people cross paths, and then never truly disconnect? Why even after distance, after silence, after time, something still remains? It's because not every connection is meant to be temporary. Some are meant to be realized, slowly. And this is one of those. Stay till the end, because this next truth is something very few people understand. Recognition doesn't always happen in front of you. Sometimes, it happens when you're not there. Sometimes, it happens in the quiet. When they finally feel the difference between having you and not having you. And that difference is what changes everything. Because once someone feels that contrast, they can't unfeel it. Once they recognize what your presence brought into their life, they can't pretend it was nothing. And right now, that realization may be settling in. Not perfectly, not completely, but enough to start shifting something inside them. Don't skip, stay with this moment. Because something huge is waiting for you. You might not hear it immediately, you might not see it clearly, but something is moving. Because when someone begins to understand your importance, they don't stay the same. Their thoughts change, their focus shifts, their awareness deepens, and slowly, their actions begin to follow. That's the part no one talks about. The quiet transition, from feeling, to understanding, to action. And you are right at the edge of that transition. Stay till the end, because this next realization connects everything. You were never just someone passing through their life. You were something they felt, something they experienced, something that stayed with them, even when everything else moved on. And that kind of connection doesn't disappear. It evolves. It reveals itself, when the time is right. And now, the time is getting closer. Don't skip, because this matters. You don't need to chase this. You don't need to force this. Because what is real finds its way into clarity. And clarity is beginning to rise. Slowly, quietly, but surely. And as that clarity builds, something else begins to happen. Something that will no longer stay hidden. Something that will start to show, not just in feeling, but in ways you can actually notice. But that moment, that shift, that undeniable change, is just about to unfold. Stay with this, just a little longer. Because what comes next might be the moment where everything finally becomes visible. Listen closely, because this is the moment where everything begins to shift from invisible to undeniable. Don't skip, stay with this, because something huge is waiting for you. There comes a point in every deep connection where feelings can no longer remain hidden behind silence, where what was once subtle begins to take form, not loudly, but clearly. And right now, you are standing at the edge of that moment, not because something suddenly appeared, but because something that has always been there is finally rising to the surface. Stay till the end, because this is where the truth becomes real. You see, recognition is not the final step. Expression is. And when someone reaches the point where they can no longer ignore what they feel, something begins to change in the way they move, in the way they think, in the way they respond to you. It won't look forced. It won't feel unnatural. It will feel different. And that difference is what you need to notice. Don't skip, because this next realization is powerful. What if the shift you've been sensing is not just internal anymore? What if it's about to become visible? Because when emotions reach a certain depth, they don't stay hidden. They find a way to show themselves, even in the smallest actions. A message that feels more intentional. A moment of attention that lingers longer than before. A presence that feels more real, more focused, more aware. These are not random changes. These are signals. Stay till the end, because something huge is waiting for you. There is something important you need to understand here. When someone begins to realize your true value, they don't approach you the same way anymore. Something softens, something opens, something becomes more genuine, and you will feel it before you even see it. Because energy always shifts first, before reality follows. Don't skip, stay here. Because this is rare. Most people wait for loud signs. But the real shift happens quietly, in the way they start choosing you, without saying it directly. In the way they begin to prioritize your presence, without explaining why. In the way their attention becomes more intentional, more consistent, more real. And when that starts happening, you'll know, not because someone told you, but because you'll feel the difference. Stay till the end, because this next part changes everything. You were never meant to chase clarity in this connection. You were meant to recognize it, when it arrives. And now, clarity is beginning to form, slowly, but surely, because what they feel is no longer something they can push aside. It's becoming something they need to face. And when someone reaches that point, their actions begin to align with their feelings. That's when everything changes. Don't skip, because something huge is waiting for you. Think about this. How often do people truly find someone who stays in their thoughts, without effort? How often do they feel a connection that doesn't fade, even in silence? How often do they experience something that feels different from everything else? Not often, and that's why. When they realize what you are to them, it matters, more than they expected, more than they planned, more than they can ignore. Stay till the end, because this is the moment you've been sensing all along. Something is about to become clear, not through words first, but through presence, through consistency, through a shift you can actually feel. Because the truth is, you were never invisible in their world. You were just not fully seen yet. And now, that is changing. Don't skip, stay with this. Because this next realization is something most people never hear. You don't need to become more to be valued. You already are. And when someone finally sees that, they don't walk away from it. They move closer to it. And right now, they may be moving closer, in ways you are just beginning to notice. Small signs, subtle changes, quiet moments that feel different. That's how it begins. That's how something real reveals itself. Stay till the end, because something huge is waiting for you. You are not imagining this shift. You are not creating meaning out of nothing. You are sensing something that is actually unfolding. And that unfolding is about to reach a point where it can no longer stay hidden. Because once clarity becomes strong enough, it expresses itself. And when it does, everything becomes easier to understand. But here's the part you need to hold on to. Don't rush it. Because what is real builds in its own time. And when it finally shows itself, it feels natural. It feels right. It feels undeniable. Don't skip. Stay here just a little longer. Because what comes next is the moment where everything you've been feeling finally starts to make sense in a way you can see, and not just feel. And that moment is closer than you think.